panel is Alexander Ritzmann from RAN, who's the leader of the Communication and Narratives Working Group. And I've heard him speak before recently. It was in, you didn't see me, but it was in Washington. So I've heard your presentation. But in particular, trying to bring together this whole conundrum of what you take off online and how you preserve freedom and how we're doing on this. Some context would be really good to hear from the RAN point of view. You have the floor for up to 10 minutes. Thank you, Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to share some insights from the Radicalization Awareness Network. Before I do so, we've all been talking about the empowerment of civil society. I would like to talk briefly about my day job. As the director of the European Foundation for Democracy, we work on prevention of radicalization, countering of violent extremism by empowering pro-European voices in vulnerable communities. And our objective is to increase the resilience of vulnerable communities and therefore foster a free and safe Europe. For example, we've produced a practitioner's guide from teachers for teachers to foster integration and prevent radicalization. We do workshops with Syrian refugees on capacity building, and we're currently producing, and this connects to my presentation, a practitioner's guide on effective alternative and counter narratives. So now I think the presentation went ahead a little bit. Can we go back one slide, please? Yeah, because now the presentation of the RAN starts. As you've heard about the RAN, I'm very sure it's a network of frontline and grassroots practitioners from around Europe who work daily with people who have already been radicalized or who are vulnerable to radicalization. Practitioners include police and prison authorities, teachers, youth workers, civil society representatives like myself, local authorities, representatives, healthcare professionals. It's a big mix of all kinds of backgrounds, professional backgrounds. Next slide, please. In RAN working groups, we have these frontline practitioners, and they share their knowledge and their first-hand experience with one another. They peer review each other's practices, and therefore RAN is also a platform for researchers and policymakers. Next slide, please. You see on the screen the RAN collection. It's accessible on the web. You can really read into a lot of practices that have been reviewed, where you can look into good practices that might be applicable in some local context. It's very hard to transfer lessons learned from one country to another or from one local situation to another, but it is hard work, but the RAN is doing it, and it's, I think, very important in the context that has been mentioned earlier. Communication and narratives are key to preventing and countering radicalization. Terrorist groups are capitalizing on technology to extend the reach of their narratives and to recruit people. We've heard this from other colleagues here on the panel. The working group on communication and narratives focuses on delivery of both on and offline communication that offers either positive alternatives or that counters extremist propaganda. I think we can go to the next slide. This can stay on if you like. The working group gathers insights on the content of these narratives, its target audiences, the messages that are being used, the ways of dissemination, with the aim of supporting civil society to produce the mentioned alternative and counter narratives in a more effective way. Now, some will ask, does alternative or do alternative and counter narratives really work? And let me start with how does propaganda work in the first place. We all live in our communication bubbles, in our echo chambers. We are largely immune to outside information that is challenging our worldviews. However, people in personal crisis might look for a new direction, for support to make sense of their situation, their emotions, and to redirect guilt. Propaganda can therefore be effective when people are curious what else is out there or in doubt that a formerly perceived truth is still the right thing to do, to believe. Therefore, counter and alternative narrative campaigns can work if they are specifically directed at a well-researched and clearly identified target audience that is either curious about extremist content, maybe because there's a lot of reporting in the media, maybe it's being described as the biggest challenge of our century, whatever it is, people get curious, or if they are in doubt that a once accepted extremist worldview is still working out for them. This needs to be followed by targeted personal online interventions. This is what the bad guys do. If you are on Facebook or on another platform and you like something, you share something, you comment on something, you will receive an email by someone saying, "How are you? Let's talk. What is your issue? Do you want to seek help or anything?" This is how the bad guys approach it, and we need to do the same on the other side. Campaigns highlighting flaws, lies, and contradictions can make people in the mentioned conditions rethink and are a first important step for change. Promoting role models and examples for positive action are important to offer new directions. And then, in addition, one-to-one digital interventions, basically online social work, is the necessary follow-up to first satisfy the individual's need for attention and action, and to evaluate if the campaign and the intervention have had any impact. To sum up, yes, counter and alternative narrative campaigns can work if done properly. What are the next steps? What should be done? The civil society must be empowered, particularly small NGOs or even engaged individuals. How? A network of pro-democratic, pro-European activists should be created, supported, and maintained. This could be different NGOs, or it could be three mothers from Molenbeek with an iPad, people who have credibility, who have a message, who are engaged, who are emotional. The role of government here is to help facilitate trainings and to build capacity, provide easy access to funds, but governments should not become involved directly. It's important in this context to have a transparent vetting process and how to select the right partners. You have to make sure that they promote a pluralistic, liberal, democratic society. Also, you need to have a strong evaluation component from the start to be able to select and promote good practices at later stages. The upcoming EU Internet Forum that has been mentioned by the Commissioner King and the following Empowering Civil Society program could be this opportunity to create such a network of activists and engaged citizens who promote European values and counter propaganda. To conclude, preventing violent extremism and fostering community resilience is being considered a soft approach, but it can deliver hard and tangible results. I would like to re-emphasize that the importance of a robust vetting process on selecting the right partners for empowering individuals and groups in local communities and training and educating vulnerable youth. There is a discussion going on if Salafists should not be promoted and funded to counter the so-called Islamic State's propaganda, for example. So, same ideology, one side is non-violent, the other is violent. The same could be applied for the right wing, that you have right-wing extremist parties getting funding for de-radicalization of neo-Nazis. So I consider this very critical, this point. We should fund and support people who promote pluralism and the Europe that we all want. And it is very important for small NGOs particularly to have easier access to funding. This is very essential. People who have 2 or 3 full-time staff cannot dedicate one position for several months to go through an EU funding process. There need to be other ways to fund the voices that you want to be heard, that you want to be promoted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we immediately open it up to the members who wish to ask questions. And the first one is I think it's your shadow on the resolution, Ana Gomez. Beginning with Ana Gomez.
Thank you so much. I want to ask you, in particular, Mr. Dugan and Mr. Ritzmann, if you believe that what our governments have been making in terms of, indeed, bringing this fight for counter-propaganda, a counter-narrative to the grassroots. Because, as you said, I mean, we cannot win this battle without involving the activists, the grassroots. And this may be people in the Muslim communities. We will not win this fight against so-called jihadism without involving our Muslim communities, or other people who counter, for instance, right-wing violence, Nazi propaganda. I don't think that enough has been done, because from what I see, these programs have been very little, very few, very late, and probably not with best practice, but sometimes even spreading bad practices, although there are some good practices. I can't imagine that this can be done without involving municipalities, local authorities, schools, families, support to the families. They are crucial in early detection of people in the path of radicalization. And how many cities throughout Europe, namely cities with a majority of, or with a sizable migrant communities and Muslim communities, have actually been the subject of such programs? Then I think that indeed there's another question that really is at heart of that, because I think that the policies of exclusion have not stopped. The austerity policies in many of our countries have meant exclusion, and so we are feeding, especially in communities of coming from the migration, we are feeding the factors for radicalization. So how can we be addressing the root causes? And even more so, for instance, in particular, now with the situation with the inflow of refugees, and I'm not at all sharing the view that this is a big danger, but the fact that we do not, that our governments do not care for proper relocation, resettlement of refugees, and leave them, including unaccompanied minors, to be feeding all sorts of criminal recruitment, including terrorist recruitment, is absolutely criminal. And our governments cannot give us the security excuse when in the end, in the way they have not been addressing the problems of refugees, is actually meaning handing lots of new people into the hands of criminals, including of terrorists and extreme violent people.
Thank you very much, Anna. It would actually be good to get from all speakers, from their own perspective, what their ideas of the perceived scale of the problem and their perception of how big the solutions are, i.e., you know, what kind of level of solution you're providing. So, you know, if it's the EU Internet Referral Unit, you know, what currently Europol actually thinks is the scale of the problem, and where you honestly feel you are, you know, I mean, within reason, you may not want to reveal that, but and it's the same with Google. It's the same with the RAN network, because this is something without end. I mean, you know, but there is no kind of perspective. Most MEPs don't have a perspective on this. So I just personally would like some pinning down of exactly. I mean, it could be a smaller issue than we think, but. Some idea of perspective would be interesting as well from your different views. Next is Mr. Lopez Aguilar, please.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to address a question straightforward. The first goes to Mrs. Brittany Smith. You've testified approach and the contribution that Google secures in order to face the magnitude of the problem. I would like to get to know, according to your experience, which is the added value of the European scale. Because, for one thing, when we refer to the extent, to the length of the problem in the net, we used to refer to the giants, to the so-called giants in the net, being number one Google, what to do. I mean, when you're harassed, when you're incited to hatred or violence through an instrument which is available in the net, what can you do about it? You need to resort to Google. But according to your experience, what is the added value that can be secured, that can be contributed by the European scale of the problem, by the European institutions, particularly by the European response? Because if it's out of range for member states, nation states, as we used to call them, is it at the range, at least, of the European scale, of the European level of response? Does it mean something in practical terms to go European when facing this kind of problem, according to your experience? And to Mr. Ritzmann, the question to you is, we used to refer to the let's put it this way, high-intensity violence in the net, incitement to high-intensity violence. Number one example, jihadism, the so-called radicalisation, which is tantamount to jihadism. But there is low-intensity violence in the net. Not only we are socializing violence through, let's say, the prison system or through hatred speech in the net. How about low-intensity violence, for instance, around the world of sports? We're seeing more and more violence being conducted through sports contests and celebrations. And there are lots of fans and fan clubs which are hating each other and fighting each other most violently. And when we banalize this type of violence, or school gangs harassing or fighting each other, when we are banalizing this kind of low-intensity violence, it's for good reason. We see that in the net. What is your analysis according to all of the elements that are at your disposal? What's your analysis of how low-intensity violence relates to high-intensity violence?
Thank you very much, Juan. Mrs. Sippel, please, Brigitte.
Thank you very much. First of all, I really appreciate the approach that very different actors are cooperating to fight extremism and hate speech. But I would like to ask some concrete questions. To Mrs. Smith from Google, I understood that, for example, you are looking for pages from known terrorist organizations or known terrorists. So the one question would be, who is giving you the information on those organizations and persons? And second, I understood that you are blocking those pages. Maybe I misunderstood. If this is really the case, I would like to ask, why are you blocking and not deleting those pages? Another question is, in that context, you also mentioned your own policies, and yet you are working on things that are not in line with your policies. So could you give, beyond terrorism, some examples what your policies are and what you're doing? Because what I would like to see, of course, is that content that clearly is illegal or unlawful is deleted. I'm not in favor of deleting or blocking things that might not be nice, but are not unlawful. Because on those things, I think it's not good just to delete them, but we do need a democratic and public debate. Having said this, I would like to switch to Mr. Ritzmann, because what I understood is that it's necessary in countering hate speech and preventing radicalization, first to learn once again what it means to meet each other with respect. So one very fundamental thing is first to listen to people, even if we do not like what they say, and only then try to find out where is it coming from that they are saying this. And I think there is a link between what we can do in school and what we can do in so-called social media when we talk about counterbalancing things. And the last question is going to Mrs. Charmet. When you mentioned some examples, maybe I'm just looking on a page promoting terrorism, is it really happening that then I might run danger to be sanctioned in one or the other way? And I really ask this because for many people working with young people, maybe for them it's necessary to have a look on those hateful speeches in the internet to know what young people are looking upon. And I'm referring to that because we have some examples on terrorist lists where we found people that are not terrorists, so we have to be very careful over that. So I will stop here with some remarks and questions.
Thank you, Birgit. And Mr. Dupré, Gerard, please.
Merci, Président. Moi aussi, comme Madame Sippel, je voudrais me réjouir de la manière dont nous abordons un sujet qui, par nature, est difficile, puisqu'il s'agit de trouver un juste équilibre entre le respect des libertés fondamentales et les besoins de protection et, si possible, de prévention contre des actes ignobles et criminels. Je voudrais aussi regretter, à moins qu'elle ne soit là et que je ne l'ai pas vu, le départ de la Commission. Y a-t-il quelqu'un de la Commission ici? On discute d'un sujet. Il y avait un commissaire qui était là tout à l'heure.
Unfortunately, there was a commissioner present. He has now left.
Oui.
I shall take careful notes, Gerard, and communicate them to Commissioner King on your behalf. I know we can never have a commissioner waiting till the end. I'll try my best next time.
Bien. Si vous le permettez, je voudrais adresser quelques questions à Madame Charmet, dont l'exposé m'a interpellé. Si j'ai bien compris, elle critique fondamentalement le fait que certaines des choses qui se font maintenant sous le couvert des lois spéciales en France ou ailleurs seraient assez arbitraires, notamment en ce qui concerne la fermeture des comptes, par exemple. Bien. Quelqu'un a dit, ou en tout cas c'est une statistique que j'ai eue, qu'entre février et août 2016, il y a 230 000 comptes Twitter qui ont été fermés. Madame, est-ce que vous voulez sérieusement qu'il y ait eu une décision judiciaire sur ces 230 000 cas? Est-ce que c'est ça que vous voulez dire? Bien. Deux, vous dites que les notions de criminalisation, de consultation des sites sont des choses contestables. Je suis d'accord avec vous. Mais nous avons introduit en Belgique, par exemple, des peines pour les personnes qui consultent des sites pédopornographiques. Ça nous a permis de déceler des pédophiles et ça nous a permis de les condamner. Et jusqu'à présent, à ma connaissance, il n'y a pas eu un seul innocent qui a été victime d'un procès et qui aurait été condamné. Est-ce que vous ne pensez pas que cette logique-là est aussi à l'œuvre dans le domaine de la lutte contre le terrorisme et contre la radicalisation? Et je pourrais prendre aussi ce que vous avez dit sur l'apologie du terrorisme. En fait, je pense que vous faites l'hypothèse que l'essentiel des mesures pour lesquelles nous plaidons et que nous prenons sont des mesures relativement arbitraires qui vont faire des victimes. Les victimes, pour l'instant, c'est les victimes du terrorisme. Et donc, dès lors que nous mettons en place des dispositifs qui peuvent avoir pour effet d'empêcher un certain nombre de gens de passer à l'acte, en les prenant le plus tôt possible dans leur dessein criminel, je pense que nous faisons une œuvre sage et que nous ne méprisons pas les libertés individuelles, puisque toute personne qui serait injustement considérée comme potentiellement dangereuse aura toujours la possibilité de se défendre et d'être exonérée de toute culpabilité par les juridictions. Et il y a beaucoup plus de cas, à ma connaissance maintenant, de gens qui sont condamnés justement que d'innocents qui sont victimes de choses arbitraires. Et je viens au problème des providers, puisque nous sommes toujours sur la radicalisation online. Online, c'est le sujet du... Mon expérience personnelle dans cette manière-là est que les providers, au départ, n'ont pas pris très au sérieux la problématique du terrorisme. Il a fallu qu'on leur rappelle, il a fallu qu'on leur dise que c'était un sujet important, il a fallu que l'on fasse pression sur eux. Et si j'ai un reproche à faire, notamment à l'approche de la Commission et des providers maintenant, c'est qu'on a l'impression qu'il faut leur demander des choses. Il y a des choses qui pourraient paraître évidentes pour des citoyens de bonne foi, respectueux des lois des libertés fondamentales. Quand il y a des choses qui sont choquantes, on ne devrait pas leur demander. Ils devraient spontanément proposer un certain nombre d'actes. Vous avez eu peur aussi du forum. J'ai entendu Mme Charme, vous avez peur de beaucoup de choses, en disant que vous craignez. Mais moi, je n'ai pas peur de ce forum. Je trouve simplement qu'il y a quelque chose de gênant en ce que les providers entre eux ne se mettent pas d'accord suffisamment rapidement sur un certain nombre de bonnes pratiques et ne les mettent pas en œuvre sans qu'on doive les solliciter. Ça me gêne. Je ne demande pas des dispositifs répressifs, je ne dis pas que je vais les traduire demain devant les juridictions, que je vais les fermer, que je vais leur coller des amendes. Je dis, j'attends quand même à ce qu'il y ait une coopération loyale entre eux pour éviter que des contenus qui sont, je dirais, par essence criminels, ne puissent pas rester sur les sites, que les sites soient fermés ou que l'accès soit bloqué. Voilà les questions et les réflexions que je voulais faire à ce stade, Président, avec mon introduction un peu intempestive sur la Commission.
Of course. Thank you, Gerard. Mrs. Winberg.
Tack, herr ordförande. Och jag vill börja med att tacka för informationen. Jag kan väl säga att det är väl bra med det här att man granskar allting som läggs upp på nätet. Det är jätteintressant att se liksom att man sitter 24 timmar per dygn, 365 dagar om året och bevakar. Det är jättebra. Det känns i alla fall lite som en trygghet. Vi ska ju senare här också höra hur man arbetar i fängelserna med det här problemet. Men en fråga jag har, hur jobbar man i moskéerna för att förebygga radikalisering där? Vi hörde ju nämnt tidigare här om att man har något samarbete med imamer, men gärna lite mer om det skulle jag vilja veta, för det är ofta där också det sker. Vi har slutat att fråga oss om det kommer att hända ett nytt terrordåd. Nu undrar vi tyvärr när det kommer att ske. Det har blivit så vanligt och det är skrämmande. Jag tittar bara som mitt land Sverige. Det är ett land som per capita har flest IS-krigare. Där många av dem också kommer tillbaka till Sverige efter att ha krigat. Tyvärr vill jag säga. För de är nog av den farliga sorten som förmodligen inte går att avradikalisera. Så det jag ställer mig frågan är, varför inte införa hårdare och avskräckande straff? Ta ifrån dem deras medborgarskap. Jag menar, har de åkt ut och mördat människor, våldtagit människor, så tycker inte jag de har rätten att beträda våra medlemsstater. Så att varför har ni inte det i tankarna att det kanske vore bra att avskräcka dem genom att ta ifrån dem deras medborgarskap och införa hårdare straff? Det hade jag gärna sett. Ja, det var det jag hade. Tack.
And Mrs. Grappini, please.
Mulțumesc mult, domnule președinte. Și eu vreau să mulțumesc și să apreciez foarte mult. E o discuție extrem de importantă. Aș vrea să completați aceste informații cu eventualele răspunsuri. Vorbim de rețelele de socializare, dar nu am auzit în prezentarea dumneavoastră ce se întâmplă cu clonarea conturilor. Foarte frecvent în țara mea, și sunt sesizată, că mulți îmi spun, vezi, nu e contul meu, a fost clonat. În felul acesta, sub numele unor oameni de bună credință, pot apărea puse mesaje care nu le aparțin. Apoi, apar modificări de mesaje și trebuie să recunosc că am avut situații în care am reclamat la Google personal și nu au fost luate măsuri. Pur și simplu am reclamat la Google niște mesaje care erau porno și care nu trebuiau să apară pe pagina mea, însă nu s-a întâmplat nimic. S-a spus aici că, în general, sunt racolați pe rețelele de socializare oamenii supărați, oamenii care au probleme și că ar trebui și noi să folosim, dar sigur, invers metoda, să luăm cumva acești oameni și să-i scoatem din starea în care sunt pentru a nu se duce în extremă, să nu se radicalizeze, să nu devină violenți. Ați gândit ceva concret, dumneavoastră cred că ați spus, ați gândit ceva concret, un program, pentru că colega mea vorbea de educație. Eu vorbesc de faptul că de la grădiniță începând, sau toate magazinele pline de jucării sunt de pistoale, de puști, de tot felul de armament și media de asemenea, filmele sunt violente și toate lucrurile acestea poate să ducă la o cale greșită a unor copii și a unor tineri. V-ați gândit la ceva concret, un program, cum să facem ca acești oameni supărați, pe lângă problemele sociale, unde ar trebui să intervenim și sigur acele necesități firește ale oamenilor să fie rezolvate, cum am putea să contracarăm, trebuie să recunoaștem, metodele foarte bine puse la punct de atragere a oamenilor pentru radicalizare, pentru violență, instigare și așa mai departe. Dacă aveți un program concret. Mulțumesc.
And finally on this session, Mrs. Dati, the rapporteur, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Moi, je souhaitais intervenir pour être en soutien de l'intervention de mon collègue Gérard Després, avec lequel, qui est effectivement très au fait et très pointu sur ces sujets. Moi, je tiens à vous le dire comme je le pense, je suis très choquée par l'intervention de l'ONG la Quadrature du Net. D'ailleurs, j'ai été choquée bien avant, puisque lorsqu'on travaillait sur ce rapport, il y avait des mails demandant aux parlementaires de ne surtout pas appuyer ni mon rapport et encore moins les mesures qu'on préconisait. La radicalisation, on a l'impression que vous ne savez pas ce que c'est. Ce n'est pas une histoire de censure. Ce n'est pas un combat légitime ou pas. C'est une obligation, une responsabilité. Parce que dans ces cas-là, et ce n'est pas de faire du populisme ou de la démagogie que de vous demander d'aller voir les victimes de cette barbarie, de voir les profils de ces individus radicalisés. J'en ai rencontré, je peux vous dire que c'est très effrayant. Et les individus radicalisés qui ne sont pas encore passés à l'acte, pour les plus radicaux, d'entre eux, si je puis me permettre, ils passeront à l'acte à un moment ou à un autre. Et donc, ils passeront à l'acte à un moment ou à un autre, et souvent, dans la grande majorité des cas, ils se sont radicalisés par le net. Donc, vous ne pouvez pas mettre en balance aussi légèrement, pardon de vous le dire, vos observations face à cette barbarie. La suppression de contenus illicites, ça n'est pas de la censure, madame. C'est simplement de faire respecter les lois et protéger notre jeunesse. Comme l'a rappelé Gérard Després, et pour cause, j'ai été magistrat et je peux vous dire que, s'agissant de la lutte contre la pédophilie, de pouvoir, par le net, empêcher des pédophiles de passer à l'acte, ou en tout cas de découvrir des pédophiles qui avaient commis des actes pendant des années absolument inacceptables, heureusement que nous avons pu effectivement pénaliser ces contenus illicites. Et je crois savoir que sur les 235 000 comptes sur Twitter qui ont été supprimés, je ne crois pas qu'il y a eu d'erreur sur ces comptes, sur la fermeture de ces comptes. Il n'y a eu aucune erreur. Donc, curieusement, et je veux juste terminer par ça, et puisque la représentante de Google est là, mais ce n'est jamais au bon niveau, c'est comme pour la Commission ou la présidence du Conseil, ils ne sont jamais là quand il faut. Et après, ils viennent en disant, non, quand on leur pose des questions, ils disent non, mais on travaille, on avance sur le sujet. Simplement, comme par hasard, tous les géants du net ont commencé à s'engager sur le sujet, dès lors où on a mis dans la résolution la possibilité de la responsabilité pénale engagée des géants du net s'ils ne supprimaient pas les contenus illicites. Moi, je souhaitais à l'époque aller plus loin et demander que, quand ils n'agissaient pas, qu'on puisse effectivement les attraire à une complicité si effectivement des actes terroristes ou en tous les cas de djihadisme étaient commis. Voilà, je vous remercie.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to say something about quantitative. Is it about...
Very shortly, because I fully agree with the colleague Dati when she says that radicalization is terrible and we have to fight. But this is because for the time being, when mentioning the word radicalization, we think about terrorism and all the things that are going on. But the word itself can be used in very different meanings. So if we only say radicalization without saying concretely that we link it to terrorism, in the long run, it can be used for censorship and other things. That's why we have to be very careful how to create the picture of this.
I was just about to say, I mean, we invited Quadrature to Net to just give before you interrupted, thanks, to give that fundamental rights perspective and to simply say that Mrs. Dati is right, that the moment radicalisation is leading to violence, then the clear equation is made. But there's going to be some grey areas where radicalisation, of course, you know, we are all Democrats, we want some freedom of speech, and so that perspective we wanted to see, and of course, to defend you, we wanted to hear your response then to that fundamental question, where do you draw the line? So, and this is what is now being asked. So it will come to you in just 1 second, and if you don't mind, and if we can just do it in order. And, but I'm sure you've been asked this question before, where do you draw that line? So let me start with Brittany Smith. I'm really sorry to put all of you in this position, but we don't have much time because our members were on a stream of consciousness taking up to 5 minutes. But I know why, because this is a big issue for our members, as you can see. So it means that if you could go directly to the questions you were asked, rather than any wider points, please. You know, no Google adverts, yeah? I know you know, I thought we had jargon in the European Parliament. Google, my goodness. Go for it, eh? So please, go straight to the questions. Thank you very much.
Sure. On the question about the added value of European scale, I might be misunderstanding, so please do find me after or send me and my colleagues an email so that we can clarify in person. But I think that our ability to work with European-level institutions is incredibly useful and incredibly important for us to build our network in member states and at the member state level. There's only so much that we can do on our own to identify new groups and to offer support to those groups, and so when we can do so in conjunction with Parliament and with the Commission. And the Commission actually has been extremely useful for us in identifying groups that we can train, bringing them together, offering a setting for us to do this work. It's been really useful expanding so that we can expand the work that we do into more languages, into more geographies, and I think that partnership has been incredibly useful. I think on the question around which foreign terrorists, we are, for better or worse, an American company. And so we use the United States State Department Foreign Terrorist Organization list as we are legally obliged to not do business with those organizations. So the question around whether or not we block or delete those accounts, we delete them. When they're notified to us, we check against that list and we delete those accounts at the entire Google level. So this doesn't mean that we just delete just your YouTube channel or just your Google Plus page. I know no one's using Google Plus, but that's a thing. But I mean to say that we delete your entire Google account, which is actually a quite severe measure. So there's no Google product that you can use on a logged-in basis. And where there are gaps, we're happy to have an open dialogue with law enforcement authorities about that so that we fully understand the context, that we understand the concern, that we understand exactly what's happening, and can be as useful as possible. About whether we've talked a lot about extremism and terrorism today, but we also have policies that prohibit pornography, spam, hate speech, graphic content, violence. Any one of those could be its own hearing, so I'll be brief, but that's all also available online. I think maybe the final thing that I want to address is this idea that I know that maybe this is new activity for us, but I want to be reassuring that we have taken this incredibly seriously for a long time. As I said in my remarks, we've had a dedicated flag for terrorist material in particular since 2008. We've had flagging and removal in place since 2006. And so, I'm grateful for the enhanced cooperation over these past several years. But I do want to be reassuring that we've taken this seriously for a very long time, and we look forward to expanding that work together, since this threat hasn't gone away and that it won't go away anytime soon, and that we do need to evolve in our response, and that our response needs to constantly be top of mind. And so I can assure you that that is the case, that we look forward to working with people on this panel, with yourselves, to make sure that the way that we are responding is attuned to what you are hearing in member states and here at the European level. And then please don't hesitate to be in touch with me directly with any follow-up questions in addition to this.
Thank you very much. And I think we would like to maintain a very strong contact because it's an evolving situation with a major provider. So I think that would be very helpful. And thank you again for being here. Now we have Stefan de Guan. Again, the specific question. Stefan, please.
Thank you, Chair. Concerning the first question about the grassroots and how our actions is going into coordinated action with fighting with the grassroots of the problem, may I remind the objectives of the EU Internet Forum, because it was mentioned several times. So we are participating to the forum, and this forum has two objectives, which are reducing accessibility of online content and then empowering the civil society into producing alternative narrative. And the EU Internet Referral Unit has his role into this forum. Concerning the scale question that you asked, it's a tricky one because there's so many platforms, so many contents, and I mean by itself the Internet is borderless. So trying to assess the scale of something that has no border is quite tricky. So we put priority on our actions from the operational case of the member states. There's some operational cases in the states that we are supposed to support in terms of technical and tactical analysis. We scale our support with the capacity that we have in terms of language skills. What we created within the unit is skills to cover content in their original language production, so being Arabic, Turkish, or Russian. And we focus on the content that are produced next to an attack. There was a huge wave of attack last year, so the idea was to try to counter content that was produced to claim or to praise a very recent attack. So already it's about focusing your activity in order not to be drowning into the scale. Also, an example of this weekend, we focused our activity on new releases that are threatening specifically the EU. For example, 2 videos this weekend in French, where it was calling for lone actors attack and also providing hands-on information on how to make explosives. So such a video that are aimed to French community, giving them a hint on how to conduct attack, that's the kind of content that we are targeting. So we always start with the content, and then we look into the network that is evolving around the content, so people that are really creating accounts or moving accounts in order to publicize this type of contents. So that's how we cope with the scale.
Thank you very much, Stefan. And Adrian Charmé, again, I mean, please not too long, but just try and focus on the question from Mr. Dupré and Mrs. Dati, because, to be honest, those are very common questions, particularly in this very reactive climate, where you have emergency measures in more than one member state. So, you know, please try and address that and the worries around it, please. Thanks.
Ok, je vais aller vite, effectivement. Bon, regretter déjà qu'on soit obligé de redire qu'on est opposé au terrorisme, ça me semble évident. On voudrait tout autant que tout le monde ici que cela cesse. Et rappeler aussi l'importance de se dire que défendre les droits fondamentaux des Européens dans le contexte actuel ne devrait pas être vu comme quelque chose de choquant ou quelque chose de léger. Je suis tout aussi choquée que Madame Dati, mais dans l'autre sens, en disant que défendre les droits fondamentaux ne peut pas être vu comme quelque chose d'inutile. L'obligation d'action, elle va dans tous les sens, pour tous les acteurs. Pour la Quadrature du Net, en tant qu'association de défense des droits fondamentaux qui a une expertise et une spécialité sur les questions numériques, notre contribution à ce combat de tous, c'est notamment éviter que des lois inutiles et potentiellement dangereuses dans l'avenir soient votées, que des pas soient franchis dans un certain nombre d'atteintes aux droits. Ça nous semble être notre contribution à ce travail général qui doit être fait. Je ne vais pas parler de comment lutter contre la radicalisation, ça n'est pas mon métier, ça n'est pas mon expertise. En revanche, les lois inutiles et les lois dangereuses, oui. Le parallèle entre l'apologie du terrorisme et la pédopornographie est très intéressant, parce qu'effectivement, dans le chemin que prennent ce type de lois, on a plusieurs fois vu des lois d'abord votées à propos de la pédopornographie qui sont étendues au terrorisme et qui ensuite sont souvent étendues à d'autres sujets. Je crois qu'il faut faire attention à la question des publics et de l'échelle. Ce ne sont pas les mêmes publics, ce n'est pas la même échelle, ce ne sont pas les mêmes moyens qui sont employés. Malheureusement, pour la pédopornographie, on a assez peu de doutes sur l'illégalité d'un contenu. Quand on parle d'apologie du terrorisme, on est sur des choses beaucoup moins claires juridiquement. Je passe à la question des blocages de comptes sur Twitter et des multiples blocages de comptes. J'ai dit dans ma présentation qu'il nous semblait qu'une adaptation de la réponse judiciaire était nécessaire pour effectivement, on ne va pas avoir 230 000 décisions de justice. En revanche, il y a bien eu de nombreuses erreurs et on peut notamment travailler sur ce qui a été dit sur la duplication de comptes, sur des contenus similaires, ce que vous disiez tout de suite. Si on a 15 fois la même vidéo qui est partagée par 15 comptes différents, la qualification juridique peut être plus facile. Pour parler des erreurs, par exemple, en France, on a un des plus fameux journalistes spécialistes du djihadisme qui s'est fait bloquer plusieurs fois son compte sur Facebook jusqu'à provoquer une réaction de Reporters sans frontières, avec quasiment aucun recours. Je termine avec deux choses. Sur la question des victimes et d'une naïveté de notre part. Nous travaillons au quotidien pour travailler sur nos réponses avec des experts sur les questions de terrorisme et de radicalisation, mais on a aussi travaillé avec notamment l'Association française des victimes de terrorisme, qui était elle-même contre le blocage de sites Internet en 2014 lors du vote en France de cette loi, estimant que c'était non seulement inutile, mais pénalisant pour le reste de la société de mettre en place ce type de mesures, de l'étendre. De la même façon, les spécialistes du terrorisme disent assez régulièrement à quel point il est inutile de travailler sur des blocages de sites ou que la manière qui est prise actuellement de travailler sur la radicalisation n'est pas la bonne. Ce qu'on voudrait, c'est penser sur le long terme. Je renvoie à ce que disait la personne de RAN, travailler sur les causes profondes, comme disait Madame Gomez, éviter les réponses à court terme, éviter les mauvaises réponses, et se rappeler que Internet et les contenus qui sont sur Internet, c'est le chemin de radicalisation. En revanche, les causes de la radicalisation, elles sont probablement beaucoup plus profondes, et je pense que là-dessus, on aurait tous besoin de travailler sans estimer que défendre notre modèle de société est quelque chose de dangereux. Merci.
Okay, thank you. Now, Alexander Ritzmann, and specifically
yes.
the questions put to you, please.
There were several questions.
But,
yes.
Please
Ms. Gomez, regarding the role of families. Families can be key in prevention of radicalization, de-radicalization. Sometimes they're part of the cause, of course. So individual perspectives are key, but I support your approach, and there are great networks that focus on the work of mothers, on sisters and brothers, families, everything. The role of local governments in particular, they should not be involved in the messaging. They should not be involved in what the content of the message should be, and they surely should not be the messengers. Credibility is key. If we want someone who is looking for extremist content, you don't want to have a government spokesperson telling him that he's on the wrong path. That person probably knows that and is still interested. So there are some bad lessons learned from endeavors in the US, having the government too much involved in this kind of work that should be looked at. The size of the problem, I actually don't have a problem with the size. I have a problem with the growing speed of the size. We have an ongoing polarization. The right wing is increasing in support, in violence. As a reaction, we have on the left that was very weak and disorganized, some more strength, some more orientation because of the right is getting stronger. We have the Salafists who pick up, who become more active. Interestingly, the right wing tells its groups and its audience that the Muslims are going to take over society, while the Salafists tell their followers that the society is pushing them out and that they might have to leave. So everybody has their specific narrative, and they feed off each other. The circle of radicalization is a key concern. It's not just one group. It's how they foster each other and feed off each other that is going to increase the problem here. Ms. Sippel highlighted the general prevention parts in schools, civic education,